No, we want to begin the Principals podcast with your story.
Oh, so it turns out years ago, and now I just found out it was 1989. No, it was before that. So 89. So it had to be 85, 86.
So before Morales and I was born.
I was in a health class, and I had a young man that we were taking a test, and he was cheating. And back in the day, the cheat sheets were a little piece of paper. You write as much as you could on the piece of paper, and he was using it during the test. So I walked over to his desk, and I lifted up his hand, and I took the cheat sheet, and I took his test, and I walked away. And after the test, at the end of the class, he came up, and he said, "Suppose you want to talk to me?" And I said, "No, I nothing to say." And he says, "No, I was, you caught me cheating. You took my test and my cheat sheet." And I said, "Yeah, I know. I don't have anything to say." So he left the room. So I took the cheat sheet and the test, and I wrote a note to his parents saying, I caught him cheating. He's going to get a 0. And I sent it home to his parents. So about 3 days later, he comes in and he says, "Hey, you didn't tell me you were going to send that test home and tell my parents." And I said, "You didn't tell me you were going to cheat." I said, "If you told me you were going to cheat, I would have told you. If I catch you, I'm going to tell your parents. But you didn't tell me, so I figured I didn't have to tell you." So I walk in this morning in the school, and here's this kid going, "Hey, Mr. Armelli, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? I remember you. Yeah, from and I taught years ago." And he said, "Yeah, you had me in health class." And he said, "Do you remember back in the day when you caught me cheating and you sent a letter home to my parents?" It turns out he's a bus driver for us in our for our school system and stuff. We just had a good laugh about it. It was kind of fun. So yeah, it was kind of neat. He said he graduated in 1989, so he had to be a freshman in 85, 86 or something like that when I taught him. Oh man, fun stuff. Fun
That's
stuff.
Classic.
I can't tell you who in that class got an A or a B and stuff like that, but those moments kind of, you guys know those moments kind of stick with you, Yeah, good kids. So, beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day.
For number of podcasts, I think this is his second or third or
third.
This is his third.
He started his podcast. It was actually not a podcast at first. It was him walking. And we were like, "This is cool. Let's do a podcast." And then, hey, look, there's Dee Dee. Dee Dee's behind.
Spying on you, Chaim.
She's also going to be retiring. She doesn't want to be on our podcast. Then Chaim met you on his bike.
Yep.
And that was a podcast. And then we brought you in for the Blue Model in September. I think, Chaim, you were out that week. It was Bandera and I. And now we are looking at December 17th, and it is a beautiful day, but it is also a day that the people in this podcast are sad that although we get to hear from you and probably see you a lot, we're not going to have you every single day educating like you were. You are, I'm going to tell you this, probably the best man that I have ever met, besides my own father. You're an extraordinary educator, great person, and we wanted to have this podcast to kind of just have fun, not to get all sappy, because that's not what you want. You want us to have fun with you because
absolutely. And I tell you, and I really appreciate those words. But you know what? You know what makes education fun. And I just try to say is when you walk in the building, I mean, even Murawski, you can get inspired by the things that they do, right?
Even Murawski,
right? And
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but you do. You find ways to be inspired. They're like one of my favorite books of all time, right? And there's a reason why I went into PE, because there's not a whole lot of reading you have to do with that. So, or writing or any, But one of my favorite books of all times is I got it from Bob Francis, right? The Butterfly Effect, right? And it just it talks about a butterfly can change the wind current, and if the wind current changes, it can change how wheat grow. It just goes into this thing, and it talks about how just that ripple effect can have an effect on people. And I think that's the way education is. If, we walk into that building every day and we're inspired by Ryan Bandera or Chad, or Coach Schneider and things like that, because they do something in such a way, it's got to inspire you to do more, to do better. It's almost like a competition, right? You got to keep up with them and things like that. So yeah, it's just neat coming into the building and just even kids inspire you. By the way that they act and, some of their needs and some of the things that they overcome and stuff like that. So, yeah, I just, that part I'm going to miss, it's just because I want to wake up every day. And there's two things I want to do. I want to be inspired by something and I want to learn something every day. And there's never a dull day because of that, but I just feed off of you guys and all the teachers that I've met and the kids. And it's a good life. It's a good life,
Well, I'm going to get this out there right now. I am not going to miss you at all, Armelli. I want to put that out there for everybody just to consider. I'm not going to miss you because I plan on seeing you. So, maybe not every day, but I plan on seeing you, and we're not going to let you just walk off into the sunset and sit on a rocking chair and just become one of those Monday morning quarterbacks and criticize all of our coaching and administrative moves. We're not going to allow that to happen. So, all kidding aside, we're going to stay in touch, but it is the end of a legendary career, and I've thought about that and all the people that you have affected and that you've met. And, I came to Chardon in the summer of 2000. Coach Francis was crazy enough to hire me back in the day. Probably a move he still regrets. But it didn't take me long to realize that you were, an incredible person, but also that anywhere that you go in this country, there's somebody that knows Armelli. and you can go anywhere, literally anywhere. And they say, where are you from? Well, I'm from Chardon, Ohio. Chardon, Ohio. Do you know Tim Armelli? And the answer, of course, is yes. So I've just taken to, like maybe in the spring of 2002 or 2003. I don't know when it was, but I decided that I was going to introduce myself in a new way to people that I didn't know before. So my greeting now for people that I meet are, "Hi, I'm Doug Snyder. I'm from Chardon, Ohio. And yeah, I know Tim Armelli." So, we'll just cut right to the chase on that.
Yeah. Coach, that might backfire on you. Let's see, 3 summers ago, I'll never forget this about Coach Armelli. My mom and I went golfing at Pine Ridge here in Willoughby or Wycliffe, and I was wearing.
I'm sure she won, by the way.
What's that?
I'm sure she won.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. But we walk into the snack shop right before we tee off, and I'm wearing a Chardon football polo, and this very sweet lady behind the counter, she's a little older, just like Coach Armelli. She goes, "Oh," she's like, "Chardon, did you go there?" And I'm like, "No, but I teach there, I coach there." She's like, "Oh," she's like, "Do you know Tim Armelli?" And I stopped and I looked at her and I go, "Yeah," and I hate him. She looks at me and she was all like bubbly, and then she was dead serious. I turned around and I walked out. Didn't say another word about that. So the following
she probably week, hasn't recovered from that yet.
No, the following week we show up and we I go get some snacks from the snack bar and she sees me and she all of a sudden becomes serious again. She's like, "Hey, I gotta ask you a question." I'm like, "What's that?" Like, you're that Chardon guy, right? I'm like, yeah. She's like, "What happened with Mr. Armelli that made you want to hate him?" And I just started laughing. And she said for 1 week that she was so sad and so upset that how could this legend Tim Armelli cause so much anger in this young man's life.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But yeah, Coach Snyder, I think I'll do the same thing. I'm Chamrowski. I teach at Chardon, and yes, unfortunately, I do know Tim Armelli.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. I've taught 42 years, and every class I've taught has been a semester class. So I've had like 84 times I've taught health and phys ed, and then you times that by 5 classes. You time that by maybe 30 kids in a class. That's a lot of people. So it's just kind of natural because of age that you have a lot of people out there that you had in class and stuff.
And then you throw in
It's
all
been
the
remarkable.
all
I'll
the
tell you
people
what,
that
you learn from everybody. I've had a blast with this, and
then you throw in all the people that you've coached.
yeah, right.
So there's literally thousands and thousands
Yeah.
of people that you've affected.
Yeah.
See, guys, another podcast and we're talking about mathematics. I love it. We just can't get away from it,
Nobody
guys.
likes math.
Is there going to be a test on this?
But Jay, just remember, if you don't have your health, you can't do math.
Hey, is today Derek Jeter Day? I was just thinking about it. Or who you have someone else, Snyder?
No, I think it's Derek Jeter.
Who's
Derek
number
Jeter.
2? Who was number 2 in the Yankee lineup?
Derek Jeter.
Well, back in the day,
Back in the day
when I was little,
Oh.
with Babe Ruth when I was little, and Lou Gehrig and stuff. They put the guys in order. So
Yeah.
if you had first, you were number 1, you were number 2,
Right.
if you had it second. So that was when they first started putting numbers on uniforms.
You grew up with Babe Ruth, did you?
What's that?
You grew up watching Babe Ruth, did you?
Yeah, I mean, my dad took me occasionally when they came into town to League Park.
I tell you, you're a good looking man for over 100 years old.
Yeah.
That's because you're old and you got to get your eyes checked.
That's a good point. Good point.
So we're talking about.
I do remember though, and Coach Francis will tell you this. I came in and I coached with him and John Butala, which was probably one of the most phenomenal coaching experiences I ever had. It was just so much fun, and they were so organized, and they were so good with the kids and the technique. And I really did learn a lot. And but they had a leg up on me because they knew all these kids, and I didn't know these kids' names. So they'd say, "Hey, Mike. Hey, Johnny. Hey, Joe." And I'm like, I can't remember these names. So I would just identify the kids by, if I heard their name or the way they looked, I just gave them a nickname, right? So I had a kid named, remember the Carafas, coach? Right? So I called him Carafa. I think Carafa. I was like, all right, I'm going to call this kid Wine Glass, and I just gave all these kids different names. That's the only way I remembered them. I couldn't remember. And then they'd come up to high school and I'd have them in class and I'd go, maybe they were late or they weren't there the first day. And I'd go, Mike Smith. Mike Smith, and he'd go, "Coach, I'm right here." Like, "Oh, that's you." "Yeah, me, you called me Stumpy." Like, "Oh, Stumpy, you're Mike Smith. That's your name." And, I had these kids for like 2 or 3 years. I never knew their name till I got them in class. I felt so embarrassed. They're going, "I'm right here, right in front of you." I go, "I don't know. I just know you as like Stumpy or Goofy or whatever." And I really had to learn their names to put them in the grade book.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was fun times.
Tim,
good stuff.
We all talked about, Doug was talking about how he uses your name and Chad. Well, when I was hired in 2013, I think it was a Friday. It was a Friday my first year. You brought Broadmoor in and you were doing play-by-play with all of the games, and it was so much fun. And you and I got to really start to talk because we talked about NDCL Lake.
Yeah.
And then literally probably a couple weeks later, I go to Lake Catholic to watch boys basketball play. And I'm in the hallway and I see this photo.
And
some guy goes, "Hey, you know Tim Armelli?" I go, "Oh yeah, he works at Chardon." And this guy goes, "Man, he was a badass." And I go, "Well, maybe with that mustache, but he doesn't have that anymore." And he's like, "He doesn't have his mustache?" Oh my gosh. He's like Hercules with the mustache.
Yeah.
I didn't know who the guy was.
Yeah.
I
had that mustache. When I was getting out of college, one of the profs, I can't remember who, but said, kind of made a general statement, said, you guys start looking for jobs. You guys are so close in age still to the kids that you're going to be teaching. Do something that kind of separates yourself. Don't dress like a teenager anymore, stuff like that. And the guy says, grow a beard, grow a mustache. So that's when I grew my mustache, and I kept it through 35 years until we did the St. Baldrick's fundraiser. where they shave heads and things like that, and they raise money. And I, told the kids when they did it, I said, yeah, I'll shave my head and my mustache too. And, that's what we lost it when we raised money for St. Baldrick's and stuff. And the kids, I think that was one of the best fundraisers the kids have ever done. It was so well organized and really helpful for kids. And you get these long careers and you get to be involved with a lot of different things and a lot of people that are successful and doing wonderful things, and you're a part. And you can't, like Broadmoor, man, you can't help but be inspired by those kids, and by their staff, how patient, how they work with them. So again, like I said, you wake up every day, you try and learn something, you try and be inspired. Man, there's never, you're always searching, and you always become better, and Broadmoor was one of those things I really looked forward to it, because I knew I was going to walk away, better, better for my kids, better for my family, better for my, coworkers and stuff like that. So it was great. Yeah. Although I must say, one of my better memories too was cooking the Euclid hot dogs up in home ec class before the state. That wasn't state semis. It was state finals. Right. We cooked the hot dogs, and man, those were delicious. Those are good times. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Tasting those things.
They were tasty.
The old Euclid dogs.
Yeah. What's nice is Morawski didn't coach this year, so he didn't get one.
I'm pretty sure Coach Hall grabbed Morawski's hot dog.
Yeah.
I can't 100% confirm it, but something tells me that probably happened.
He grabbed the.
I'm looking for a mustache picture, Coach Armelli. Just give me a minute here. I'm pretty sure I still have it.
Well, just like that,
yeah, one that Murray had is pretty good.
That is.
That was old school. I just looked through an album the other day. I had a picture of me and my dad the day I got married, and I had a nice mustache going then. Yeah, it was nice and dark still. It hadn't been the gray hadn't snuck in yet.
Coach, I'm trying to grow one because you've inspired me. You see it?
I do see those.
You got to turn the light up a little bit, Morawski.
Yeah. Yeah. And my health kids will tell you, sometimes it's just not going to come in. You got to wait till you're through puberty. And when that happens, and my health, run into any of my health kids, they'll explain it to you. So, once you get through, then it might come a little bit better.
I think it might be fitting on your last day of class tomorrow if Coach Morawski just comes in and you could do a quick lesson on puberty so he knows what to look forward to.
I would do, but he's not coming in. He works from home because he's taking the easy way out.
Oh, I got it. So,
Coach, my wife
looks like
reminded me
everybody in this podcast will be in school today at some point.
I don't want to say that getting his mustache shaved was traumatic for Coach Armelli after having it for 35 years, but I'm pretty sure he walked around like this for over a week.
Yeah, the great mug. Oh, yeah, that's hilarious. So raise it up just a little bit. There you go.
There it is.
Right, at least a week.
It was one of my favorite coffee mugs. Still is.
Coach, my wife reminded me of how everywhere you go, everywhere you go, someone knows Armelli. We were, I don't like to travel, but she got me on a cruise one time years ago. And, we're somewhere out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean or somewhere. And I had a Chardon something another on, and some random guy just, you think you're getting away. And he goes, Chardon football. Do you know Tim Armelli? And she reminded me about that today. And then I was also thinking about, remember the time we had lunch at the ESPN Zone? Talk about random.
That was crazy in New York City.
New York City. We happened to be there on the same day and happened to have content.
Yeah. So I was on vacation. I took the boys when they were little. We took them around during the summer to see different ballparks. And the one summer we decided to go to New York, and we're going to go see Yankee Stadium. All of a sudden, out of the blue, Bob calls and says, "Hey, just remembered you guys were going to go to New York sometime this summer." He goes, "I'm visiting my in-laws. I took the train into New York. I'm here now, but this wouldn't happen to be the weekend you were there." I go, "Yeah, we were like 2 blocks from right where you were at." So yeah, we met for lunch down in Manhattan or somewhere and stuff like that. That was phenomenal. Yeah, it was good. Good stuff. Yeah, that was a great stadium too, Yankee Stadium. Wow, it was nice. Went to see the Yankees.
Old one.
The old one, and then because we went there purposely because we knew they were building the new one for them and the Mets. So we went to see the Mets and the Yankees play in both their old stadiums. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, and again, anytime you guys want to go to DC and see a game, I got a connection. Get your tickets.
Well, Coach, before I jump into first period here with the sixth graders, I wanted to share two things that, probably you didn't even think twice about, but that's something that I always remember. And I remember my first year as AD was 1998, and, we went to the finals that year. And, while most coaches were like, one of these football players is going to start practicing and all that. And I always remember your approach to, the kids would come up to you and they would say, well, when do you want me in the wrestling room? And you'd say, when do you want to be in the wrestling room?
When you're ready. That's right.
No, Coach, when do you want me to start? You'd be like, when do you want to start?
Yeah.
And I always thought that was brilliant, just because, they were probably coming in sooner than you would have wanted them anyway, because you put the ball in their court and you left it up to them. And I think that always changed their mindset going into it, right from one season to the next. And I've always tried to steal that little tidbit in different aspects as we've gone along through the years. I thought that was brilliant.
I think you're right, though, because I think the kids count down. You say you got to be in by December 7th. Then they start counting down. I only got 5 days. I've only got 4 days, and then it's like it almost they come in dragging into the play rather than saying, when you're ready, you'll feel it. When your body says you're ready and your mind's in a good spot, come on in. But it was on their terms.
Right.
They were excited then about coming in. And I don't know if they came in earlier, but I think they came in with a better attitude. They were ready.
Absolutely.
To go. Yeah, because it was their choice and stuff.
And then, the other thing too, and I'm sure all coaches in all sports might be guilty of this, but just from what I've seen in wrestling, like some guys just focus on the superstars in the room, who they feel like they can get down to Columbus on the podium, and whether when you were the varsity coach or when we coached middle school together, I mean, you coached every kid in the room from our top kids to the kid who, we pulled out of the hallway and never had a singlet on before. And I always thought that was a great approach. And that's something that, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, that I think we all can take from.
Yeah. Well, and you guys are all involved in athletics and stuff like that, and obviously teaching and things. So, I've never thought of coaching, and teaching. It's when you coach, you're a teacher. When you teach, you're a coach, and it just kind of all intermingles and stuff like that. And I do remember, and it's talk about coaching every kid and things like that. And I don't know, this popped in my mind when you said teaching a kid that never had a singlet on. I had a kid. I could tell because he'd laugh. Brandon Steinmetz, who ended up being a state champ in '94 for me, his semifinal match to get him into the finals. Right, we're warming up down in Columbus, and we're in the warm up area, and we're loosening up, we're drilling a little bit, and he's ready to go, and we get down onto the floor, and he's still got his warm ups on. You want to keep him sweated, and the match before him on the mat gets over, and he starts taking his warm ups off, and he runs down to the mat to get started, and as he's running on, I noticed he's got a singlet on backwards. In the state semifinal, I'm going, oh my God, you can't stop it. Like, hey, you got to change your uniform. You just kind of let him go. But I'm thinking the whole time, like, the other coach and the other kid got to go and like, this guy's got to be horrible. He doesn't even know how to put a singlet on, right? But he was just so nervous. He put it on backwards. Obviously, he ended up winning, and then he ended up winning the title. But yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, you coach every kid is in a sport, in an activity for a reason. Some kids want to be state champs. Some of the kids, just want to learn more about the sport. Some, they love it. They want to be active. For some kids, it's just, I want to be a part of something. They may be an only kid, or, maybe a single parent, whatever. They just want to be a part. So every kid has got a different reason for being there. And I think as coaches and as teachers, even in our classrooms, we have to find the reason why they're there. Right. And then you make that attachment to them, and you build that relationship from them. And in that case, then they become part of their own solution. You know, they become a better learner. They become a better athlete. They become a better student, a better teammate. But you have to find that reason why they're there, and then just attach yourself to that reason. And I think I got that, you know, from my dad. You know, he was that way. My dad made people feel very special when they were with him. You know, so yeah.
I feel like you've just launched your motivational speaking career. Because I'm fired up right now.
I'd pay for that.
You got to do what you believe, right? In Coach Morawski, you know, and all you guys are coaches and stuff like that. You know, you got to have a philosophy when you go in, whether it's, you know, you're talking about defensive philosophy or how you treat kids and stuff like that. And it's got to come from within. You can't say, well, Sam Rutigliano did this, or, you know, whoever your favorite coach is, and that's the way I'm going to coach it. It won't work. You know, you got to find out what's your passion and bring that to the kids, and then it just makes it work. Yeah, so good stuff. So I learned from you guys. You guys inspire me, and you know, other than Morawski.
Mr. Murray, can I share one more before I go?
Yes, please.
This is a classic Armelli. Get your hands dirty. Do what needs to be done. I mean, whether it's scouting a football game or whatever. But
Coach, tell me this isn't about Championship Friday.
Oh no, but that's a good one too.
Go ahead.
A few years ago on our first Championship Friday, we were going hard, and you know, I don't know if the players were quite ready for the intensity of the workout. And so here comes Armelli with a mop and a mop bucket. And he's cleaning up all the vomit.
And I'm
like, what's that?
I said I was just waiting because I knew it was coming. The kids were like, "Why has he got that bucket and mop?"
Yeah, and I should have thought of this story. I'm glad you reminded me, because I've taken this too. I'm like, Tim, that was great of you to go around and clean all that up. And he goes, well, hey, if a kid is willing to work that hard to do that, he goes, I should at least be willing as a coach to clean it up. And that was a great one.
Yeah.
But we were coaching wrestling together, and we were at a tournament, and I'm not going to say the school, but let's just say the tournament wasn't being run as efficiently as it could have and should have been. And, you know, time's ticking. It was supposed to start some time ago. And next thing I know, Armelli's behind the table and giving directions and getting on the mic. And next thing you know, the tournament's up and running. And whatever it took to get the day through and be successful. And I always remember that one too. So.
You just lend a hand. You got to help where you need to be helped. Coach, and it was my hometown, Willowick, so I'll put that out there. Yeah. They're good guys. Phonics, I had, you know, their AD I had in class, and yeah, so it just helped out. Just help.
It's a great story.
Yeah, it's for the kids.
I know that Bob has to run at a certain point to get to Matt, but everyone, I want you to think of your favorite memory and or story, or something that stands out about your interaction with Armelli. It could be the most obscure thing that you have.
I'll jump in on that one real quick. So probably my second year here, I'm a new administrator, and someone came up with this idea that we needed some more classes for Mrs. Bunker's class, and decided, hey, it'd be a great idea for Mr. Armelli to teach him a full year course on life skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, in perfect Armelli fashion, he comes in and says, I'm excited for this. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
And, you know, that class always has a soft spot in my heart, but he took some of the students in that class and provided them one of the best classes I think they've ever had. Every day was something new. What was even bigger was he connected those students with some other struggling students as well. Some other students who were just trying to skate by, gave those students a purpose, improved everyone's attendance, got them in the building every single day. And, all those kids I think are just better from that. And I think Tim's better from that too. So
absolutely. Again, you find inspiration from who knows where, but we wrote that book.
Yes.
I still have that book we wrote. We wrote a little book. We wrote a story, and it told a lesson, and that was a lot of fun.
So that's why your resume says published author.
That's right.
Okay, I've always wondered about that, but I didn't want to ask because that clears something up for me. Oh, there it is.
Got it. There it is.
There's still hope for you, Morawski.
Yeah.
You still might be able to get there.
There it is.
That's the Bob Morowski style. Yeah.
Yeah, picture book, man. I like those. Not a lot of words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach, for me, Mr. Murray, I'd take away Tim's coaching phrase of "be great." He used to say that whether it was wrestling or football or whatever he was involved in. And then, we always ran a B wrestling tournament down here for kids who weren't starters or were new to the sport, and we've kind of slipped that name into the tournament, call it the Be Great Day down here. So we're always going to keep that tournament going as long as we can, and that's just a great phrase for coaching and teaching and life in general, and that'll be my biggest takeaway.
Well, Bob, I always felt like I was on a treadmill with you. Now that because I know you're the big runner and stuff, but you always, man, you're in 100% on everything, And I felt like, man, I have to do more just to stay even with this guy because you're a tireless worker. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I just didn't. Again, it inspired me to do better. At anything I did.
Coach Francis is a tireless worker, a great guy, and single-handedly responsible for keeping the coffee economy booming.
We're not going to transition to the Bob Francis show, but what haven't you coached? You coached my daughter, or my wife, I should say, in fast pitch softball.
Yeah, in the early '90s, when we transitioned from slow to fast, she was in the cutting, in that wave, with Coach Dinko and was there and myself, and we would play slow pitch during the week in the CVC. And then have girls play some fast pitch on the weekend. And then, we had a team down in Mineral Ridge, which we coached with your father-in-law that summer, called the Chardon Rockies. And Evan Ash's mother was on it, and a few other. So it goes back a ways. All right, Coach. Congratulations. We'll stay in touch.
Bob. All right. Thanks, Bob.
Mr. Murray, going off the Armelli stories, my first year when I came to Chardon and I'm meeting people and whatever, Coach Armelli, when you ask, hey, before you even ask him how you doing, he's always saying it's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day. And I'm looking outside at Chardon, we got 18 inches of snow. How can I say it's a freaking beautiful day every single day? But what I realize is if you tell yourself, if you condition yourself that, you know what, I'm alive today, it is a beautiful day, you'll look at things differently and you'll believe it's a beautiful day. You hear it, you say it, you take it into to belief. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to use what Coach Armelli says. I'm going to try and motivate somebody as a beautiful day. So probably my first year after he said it over and over again, I'm like, you know what, I want to try his beautiful day mentality on somebody else. So I walk into the gas station. I'm like, I'm gonna find some random in a gas station when I go and pick up some snacks or whatever, and I'm gonna use the Armelli theory. Okay, so I walk in there and there's a long line and going very slow. It's chaos. And I go up to the cashier and I go, hey, how are you? And I'm ready to give my Armelli speech of it's gonna be a beautiful day, and she goes, she's like, it is a long day today. And I look at her and I go, yes. She looks at me. She's like, what? I go, it's a long day. I'm like, I got a lot of stuff to do. You told me it's going to be a long day today. I am ecstatic. I'm excited. I turn around. I start high-fiving people. She said it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day. And I go sprinting on out of there. And people are looking at me like I'm insane. But the mentality of Coach Armelli that every day is a beautiful day, if you believe it, man, it really is. And if you believe it's going to be a long day or it's going to be a gross day, you'll believe it. So I think anybody that knows Coach Armelli, if you ask him how he's doing, he'll lie to you, but he's going to convince you that it is a beautiful day. And if you think about it, man, it is true. It is a beautiful day, especially with Coach Armelli impacting people.
But here it is. It's a beautiful day, and this is again. I say it so much, not so much to help other people, but obviously to remind myself, that I wake up every morning. I got a roof over my head. I got clothes to put on my back. I got food to put in my stomach, and I got people in my life that care about me. You know, I mean, everything else is icing on the cake. So yeah, when I say that, it's more to keep myself grounded and remind myself. But yeah, and hopefully, yeah, it does help other people get through the day. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty funny though. That's funny. It's a long day.
They thought I was
a lot to do.
Long day. All right.
Be careful with the parts of Chardon High School you walk through. There might not be a roof over your head.
Yeah,
It might be crumbling around you.
but the trailer's solid.
I can tell you, I can tell you that I have benefited from Coach Armelli as a colleague. I've taught with him for 21 years, and when I was hired, I was the boys basketball coach, and he was the wrestling coach. And sometimes there's maybe a little tension or rivalry between those two programs, but there never was with Coach Armelli and me. And so I benefited from him as a colleague, but I also benefited from him as a father because he had my son in class and coached my son, and I see the impact that he had on my son and our family. So I'm doubly blessed as far as that goes. But the memory that encapsulates Coach Armelli for me is, goes back to 2012 after the shooting. Pretty dark time in all of our lives, and Coach Armelli would come in my office every day. And he would say, you know how he gets going, and he gets gets that jaw set, and he transitioned into coaching mode, and he's like, Snyder, we got to turn this into a positive somehow. We got to find some way to turn this into a positive. And I'm thinking to myself, Coach, this isn't what I signed up for. I don't know how to deal with this. This is way beyond anything that I'm ready for. I don't know what you're talking about. So the next day I wouldn't say that to him. I'd just say, you're right, Coach. We'll find a way. So the next day he'd come in, Snyder, we got to find a way. And day after day after day after day. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, okay, whatever. Well, one day he comes in and he sits down and he's like, I got it. And I'm like, all right, what do you got? And he's like, we're going to put together a foundation for the safety of school children, and we're gonna rally, and we're gonna use our story, and we're gonna travel around. We're gonna tell people our story and how the training that we went through saved lives, and we're gonna start this foundation, and we're gonna turn this into a good thing. So I said to myself, I'm in, man. Originally when he would come in day after day after day, just to get rid of him, I would say, you know what? I'm with you, Coach Armelli. When you figure out what that is, let me know. I'm in. And then he would leave. and at first it was just the way I got to get Coach Armelli out of my office. There's no positives in this.
Yeah,
so that day he comes in and says, I got it. What was a game changer. So we looked around and we found the prettiest face that we could find as the front man for this foundation. That, of course, is Coach Hall. So it's really the Coach Hall Foundation for the Protection of School Children, but it's really Coach Armelli's brainchild, and Frank's just a pretty face out in front of it. But if you ever want to know about Coach Armelli, he'll find a positive in anything, and in probably the darkest time in my life, the Coach Hall Foundation came out of that, and it's because of the inspiration of Tim Armelli, and I'll never forget that.
Thanks, Doug. I mean, it's done some good things for some people. It was a rough time. Yeah, it was a dark. The only regret I have is these kids. We gotta, we do. I mean, while they're in school, we're their parents, and we have a, and not only just to them, but I think, again, I go back to my parents. You have an obligation and a responsibility to everybody you come in contact with to try and make their lives better, and I just couldn't see thousands of community members whose lives was just devastated that we couldn't try and do something to make their lives better and more meaningful and have an impact on them. So, you and Andy and Mr. Connick and Frank and Bill Cushwa, all those members. You guys, we've worked tirelessly to help, and we've made it. We made a change, and hopefully, when this COVID and all that stuff, and we can get out and start beating the drum again a little bit more, and continue to help kids become great men, great women. So,
and Coach, on that line, I'll never forget our presentation in Wapakoneta.
Yeah.
Well, that's a story for another day. But that was
no. Wait a minute. So, and I'll give it.
That was a class.
We were in this huge auditorium, which, if you guys don't know what an auditorium, because I know we don't have one there, it's like a huge area where everybody can gather, and it's kind of tiered like a theater. So we're speaking to the whole staff of Wapakoneta City Schools, Doug and I, about school safety, and because they were going to have a day, professional development day on school safety and what they're going to do to secure their buildings and procedures. And anyhow, so we get ready to speak, and Doug speaks first. And Doug says, "Hey, good morning. Thanks for having us. And if you're anything," and he goes right into it, he just says, "If you're anything like Chardon, that corner up there is probably all the coaches." And it was. They were all gathered in the back of the auditorium, all clumped together, and like to give a shout out to all the coaches up in the corner. Yeah, and everybody, they started laughing and hooting and howling. They all turned around, and sure enough, all the coaches were in that area. It was so funny. Yeah, you nailed it and stuff. But yeah, Wapakoneta, home of John Glenn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Coach, there are a lot of times you come into the office. You seem to always have the knack to know when to come into someone's office and sit down and talk. But the one that goes back for me is a day over at the middle school. You were coming in, getting ready for middle school football, and someone mentioned, "Hey, we got a new principal," and yada, yada, yada. You just turned around, came in and sat in my office for a good 30 minutes, and we talked like we were best friends for years upon years, and how you welcomed me to Chardon, and it really allowed me to fit in, feel welcomed, because quite honestly, that didn't happen before. But you kind of came in and we connected, and we talked about a lot of things through the years, and I really appreciate that day.
You've been a great addition. I mean, we've talked about a lot of different things, and and you've helped me and my family, and the kids, and so there was definitely, and I think given the sport background, your wrestling and stuff, we did have some connections, but you've definitely been a great asset to the school system and to our kids. Yeah, no doubt.
And I think he was irritated that there was actually somebody in the profession that he didn't know. I got to take care of this. I just found out there's somebody I don't know.
Weren't you that night? I think I came in and said, "Didn't you wear like number 12 when you played baseball for you?"
Yes. And sure enough.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, all you guys have been great. I am just so appreciative you guys have been in my life, and everything that you've taught me and I've learned from, and just allowing me to be a part and kind of do my thing, because I'm sure I'm irritating to some, at some times, but I appreciate your patience with me. So it's been fun.
Tim, I have to agree with everyone. I mean, I'm an active listener, and you welcomed me in 2013, and you shared a lot of the story that I needed to hear as a graduate from your eyes, and you really taught all of us about service over self, and although we all live that, all of us in this room, we love to do service over self, you breathe it, and it reminded us of who we are as our community. We have tons of stories, from the guy that you wanted to pull by the ear in 2013 in the hallway for his hood on, and he wouldn't listen to you, and he was over at the trailer, things of that nature, to your care for all of the kids that you would encounter, because you just want them to succeed, and that they all have a story. I want to end on a fun note here, that for those listening out there, which I know we're going to have a lion's share of listeners for this podcast, Tim Armelli did take down Chad Morawski. It was this day where they were in sumo suits.
That is classic.
Chad tried to use his speed, and Mr. Armelli used his skill. And at half court, there was a leg sweep, and Chad could not get up. And Mr. Armelli took the crown.
Coach Armelli, tell everybody about the unknown secret about that day and you in that costume.
So I'm extremely, and I think this is a result of 2012 and being, in lockdown and stuff like that, but I have become very claustrophobic. And I put that thing on, and immediately they attached it in the back. And I said, I had to get out of it. I started sweating, and I had to get out of that thing. And, it was one of those things, you made a commitment. So I put it back on. I said, just don't attach it in the back. I got to feel like I have an escape route, so I'd never attached it in the back. And I couldn't wait to that event or whatever that episode.
And the competitor in him looked at Morawski and thought, that's standing between me and getting out of this costume.
Yeah.
Wasn't there another time you tackled?
But that was in
office.
Yeah, and I didn't have any protection then. I said something to Coach Armelli, like him being old, and he's like, "All right, wise guy." And I said it again, and then the second time he put me up
through the door.
He tapped me over the chair, and then Coach Hall comes in because he hears all this commotion and a chance to pile on me. Coach Hall jumps in on the fight as well, getting bullied in Coach Snyder's office.
Not coincidentally, the remodeling began like the following week.
Yeah, we had a little tussle. Yeah,
I want to make sure that that you are able to get in our building whenever you want, so that you can lock Frank Hall into the coach's bathroom, like you've done in the past.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's Frank will have to kind of keep on the tradition there. Now it's up to Long to guard the facility.
It's called the automatic flusher.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, and he needs a high boy too.
What's sad about this podcast, it will have to come to an end, but what's not sad about this podcast ending is the fact that we will leave our office and probably banter more with all the people in this room.
Except for Armelli, because he won't be at school.
Oh, except for Morawski. Well, he'll be back later on this afternoon. Mr. Armelli, for the benefit of us, we're taking you out to breakfast tomorrow. As you said, it's not for you, it's for us. We wanted to celebrate us with you.
I learned that from Snyder.
But final words. We're giving you the final words.
How about this one? And I have this poster, and I think Doug Snyder has this poster. Be the change you want to see in the world. Don't complain. Don't.
Amen.
You need something done, and take it upon yourself. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Love you, Coach Armelli.
Love you guys also. Yeah.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Peace.